Thank you, Jim, and good afternoon, everyone. Jim, I like that introduction. I was questioning the legendary description that you gave there for me, but nevertheless, I am delighted to be here this afternoon. And one of the things about being at the press club, you're going to have a lot of microphones up here. So I'm going to navigate this a little bit. So I will have some room up here for myself, if that's okay.
Get a little bit more space here.
Okay.
So sorry, everyone. You got good space down there.
Okay, that's a little bit better. I want to start off by thanking the press club for inviting me on a regular basis here. I am certainly thankful to be here, and I look forward to this opportunity on a regular basis to come at least once a year to talk about what we're doing in the city at this juncture. But a little history on the press club for those of you who are not with the press. The press club has been a vital part of the fabric of our community for over 50 years. So I am delighted that you continue to be a mainstay, and really your importance in assisting the citizens of our community on ways to advance healthy dialogue does not go unnoticed. Now, many of you may know I started out the year with a theme. My theme for 2023 has been Red Stick Rising. My team and I have been diligently working for the past 239 days, but who is counting, focused on quality of life issues that need intentional focus, making our city a great place to live, to thrive, and to prosper. In urban planner Alex Garvin's book, What Makes a Great City, he focuses on 6 tenets. First, it must be open to anyone. Secondly, it has something for everybody. Next, it can attract and maintain demands. Fourth, it needs a framework for urbanization to allow for surrounding development. Fifth, it needs to be sustainable, a livable environment. And sixth, it needs to nurture a civil society. Now, with just an initial read of the tenets, it's obvious that we have room for improvement to attain these goals. But the question right now is, how are we as a city parish moving closer to these tenets? Garvin refers to public parks, to plazas, and even office spaces when he talks about a city being open to everyone. Here in Baton Rouge, as you know, we have an award-winning parks and recreation system. Just recently, I signed a memorandum that is an initiative that's taking place all over the country, and it's the 10-minute walk. The goal of the 10-minute walk is to have everyone have access to a park or to a green space within 10 minutes from where they live. We are working with our school system and BREC, and we anticipate by the year 2025 seeing a lot of that become reality. Let me share a couple of statistics with you. Currently, only 52% of residents in the city of Baton Rouge are within a 10-minute walk to a park, and residents in low-income neighborhoods have access to 20% less space per person than those in the average Baton Rouge neighborhoods, and 52% less than those in high-income neighborhoods. So I am looking forward to the 10-minute walk becoming a reality right here in Baton Rouge, in East Baton Rouge Parish. Next, the Scotlandville Plaza is an important cultural center in North Baton Rouge, hosting public events including the Levitt Amp Music Series this summer. And my administration has just announced upgrades to this space, including upgrading lighting and a stage and repairs to the concrete space around there. Does our city have something for everybody? We have restaurants, we have sports, we have a hockey team coming in a matter of months, we have festivals, we have movie theaters, we have the arts. Just recently, my husband and I, who were baby boomers, had an opportunity to go to the Black Box Theater at the Arts Council, where we participated in a 50 years of hip hop concert, which I found very exciting. And not to mention, when we talk about the things that we have for everybody, our Baton Rouge Art Gallery just recently hosted a series of lectures and art exhibits surrounding And We Went, the commemoration of the swim-in that took place many years ago. Number 3, can our city attract and maintain on demand? Now, I will tell you that one of the top issues of conversation these days is the need to focus on our downtown area. And I would like to say that our new downtown development district director is doing an awesome job of being very intentional about this. The last survey by the Downtown Development District, which took place in April and May, with about 1,400 responses from downtown residents, property owners, workers, and visitors throughout the parish, had some interesting statistics associated. 40% of workers want to live downtown, and 75% of all groups want to see more housing downtown. In general, people want to see a cleaner, a safer, and more residential opportunities downtown. In terms of infrastructure or physical projects, the top 3 are more places to socialize, enhanced lighting, and improved mobility and parking. And there was a large consensus that a new master plan for downtown is needed, with a focus on connecting to our surrounding communities and neighborhoods. So I'm joining with all of those who are advocating for a stronger downtown area, that we see the manifestation of that. Many of you all may have attended the Canvas trip to Greenville, South Carolina. After that trip, there were a group of individuals who focused specifically on recommendations for the downtown area. And I will say that my chief of staff, Dante Bidwell, is among those who participates in that committee. So I believe that we are on our way to uplifting and seeing our downtown rise. 4th, do we have a framework for urbanization to allow for surrounding development? How are we linking our city is a question that I ask. Well, many of you all may be familiar with the Plank Road Corridor Project. The design for the MOVE EBR project is 98% complete, and we are working with DOTD to finalize our plans. We will enhance the corridor, build new sidewalks, curbs, lighting, and elevate bus stops. The work will be done in phases due to the traffic impact issues. We also plan to repave the road through our road rehab program, which I recently announced. The bus rapid transit project will be throughout the Plank Road corridor. We are working with DOTD to make final adjustments to the design, and that will be a major game changer for that area, but not only for the Plank Road area, but extending past downtown. There will be about 15 stops on Plank Road, Nicholson Drive, and Florida Boulevard. The project will connect North Baton Rouge, Mid-City, downtown, and LSU. Also, the project will make more accessible to get to and from homes along the Plank Road corridor, repairing side streets with ADA upgrades to side streets like Winburn Avenue, Evangeline Street, Hollywood Street, and more. You may be familiar with the Florida Corridor Project. We now have plans through our Move EBR program to include walking paths and bike lanes along Florida Boulevard from North 22nd Street to Airline Highway. There will also be crosswalks and pedestrian crossings at most of the traffic signals to make it easier and safer to cross the street. And beautification will also be a part of the project. Florida Boulevard will also be repaved through our road rehab program. Now here's one of the big questions as we bring the 6 tenets to a close. How are we creating a sustainable, livable environment? I know that wherever you live in Baton Rouge, I believe there's a common thread that you want to be able to raise your family, earn a living, thrive, prosper, and enjoy the fruits of your labor. So what are we doing in city parish government to make that closer to being a reality? Well, first of all, I don't know if you're aware, but we recently launched our Brighten Up Baton Rouge, an initiative that has been working for almost 3/4 of the year. We have a task force that is focused on 7 initiatives. We will all need active community support and some community funding to execute on all of these initiatives that will take place in the next 90 days. I have to give kudos to the media because we have reached out to all of our local stations and all of them have made an investment on promoting our Brighten Up Baton Rouge campaign. You may have already seen some of those promos. The bottom line is I'm going to do everything I can do within my power to clean this city up, no matter what it takes. It does take some money, but I believe it also takes working together as a community. You know, when I drive through Metro Baton Rouge, I'm inspired by all that's being done to combat blight. As an aspiration of mine is to see blight eradicated. But of course, it takes time, it takes money, so seeing the completion of projects has been inspiring this year. So far this year, we've spent $1.2 million into the parish to fight the blight. 57 structures have been torn down and another 240 properties have been cleaned. We've increased drainage standards and we've worked closely with the Stormwater Master Plan Group and stakeholders. We saw a need to make process changes, which has seen our Department of Development running more efficiently and effectively than at any time in the past. We've seen, of course, an uptake in 311 usages as our citizens are viewing us as an administration that can be relied upon to take care of community complaints and concerns. We've again been transparent in how we rank projects by assigning a blight score. A list of questions is weighed with scores prioritizing projects. This has continued to prove effective in its fairness as well. Blight, of course, as you know, is a cycle. And I'm really inspired by the productive ways it's been combated across our region. That fuels an aspiration to keep working towards its end, so that we can all take pride in the beauty of our community. One look at our resident leadership academy shows clearly how important that sense of worth through pride is. Leaders from core neighborhoods are securing funding when accessing our numbers, and residents wanting to do community cleanup projects for which we offer free tool lending are receiving grants. It's inspiring to see the community with so many aspirational ways to see a more beautiful Baton Rouge. Now, when I sat down today, one of the questions Chief Paul asked me was, how was the ribbon cutting? And I said, which one? Because in the past week, I have been doing a lot of ribbon cuttings. And if you know anything about being the mayor of a city, going to a ribbon cutting puts a big smile on your face. And so I am really inspired by the strong commitment that we have for safe local neighborhoods, because I was reminded recently that a city that leaves neighborhoods behind is not a city that's going to be successful. And I want this city's success, so we will leave no one behind. Just recently, we cut the ribbon and did a groundbreaking on 2 major initiatives in North Baton Rouge, more than 600 units in total that my administration dedicated $300,000 to in a partnership with CST Multifamily Real Estate Services led by CEO Tom Delahaye. One on Rouge Road, and one where we broke ground and complete, one where he finished, on Howe Place. 2 major investments in affordable housing that took place, and so I'm extremely glad about that. So you heard me talk a little bit, and we're still talking about those investments that are needed for a sustainable life for our citizens. You heard me mention in some of my prior comments about our road rehab program. I mentioned that how I feel when I drive around Baton Rouge. And that feeling is heightened when I see the incredible results we're having in terms of infrastructure projects. Just recently, I mentioned that we will be doing a major investment in our road rehab program. The Metro Council approved our proposal to repave 50 miles of roadways and restripe another 190 miles of streets. We will repave portions of College Drive, Bluebonnet Boulevard, Highland Road, Spanish Town Road, Jewel Road, Foster Drive, Hollywood Street, Evangeline Street, and more. We are coming to a neighborhood and a street near you. So if you are not on the first phase of the list, don't be discouraged. Your time will come. And so I'm extremely grateful and looking forward to that. Another question that has come up on a number of occasions has been the question around signalization. As Red Stick rises, so too do our responsibilities to promote and assist that growth. And I'm inspired by the aspirational and lofty goals we're not only setting, but the ones that we're meeting. Signalization has been a hot topic, as I said, and I'm going to real quickly highlight the work that's being done in this area as it receives a number of inquiries and concerns. So we're currently working on the creation of a lighting system that will be seen as a leader in the United States. Every signal within our metropolitan area will be attached to a single traffic management center, a first of its kind. Hundreds of traffic detectors and technological components are being put in place to keep this running smoothly. And we've spent the past year laying the fiber optic cable to see this come to fruition in the first quarter of 2024. We were initially inspired by the community's needs, so we aspire to be the best of the best in terms of addressing that need. This new system will allow us to be the best that we are striving for. Now, as we continue to talk about sustainability and how to build our communities, we all know that the issue of flooding continues to be a major concern, drainage issues in our community. Recently, earlier this year, at the beginning of this year, I took the initiative of commissioning the Stormwater Advisory Committee. And this dedicated team, made up of Metro Council members, stakeholders, and residents, has a clear mission to provide actionable recommendations addressing both the quality and quantity of our stormwater issues. If you start studying stormwater issues, it can become very complex because we talk about the quantity and we talk about the quality, and we have to be able to differentiate what that means. And so today I share their recommendations so far. By 2025, to uphold the environmental quality we cherish, an estimated $7 million will be necessary annually for stormwater compliance. Rest assured, my commitment to our city's environment remains unwavering. That's why I'm proposing that we reallocate $3.5 million from our general funds assigned balance towards this crucial cause. And with the encouraging trajectory of our 2023 sales tax collections, I'm optimistic about setting aside an additional $3.5 million by next year, ensuring we are fully equipped by 2025. But our journey doesn't end there. The Stormwater Advisory Committee will continue to convene, researching and recommending long-term funding solutions to protect Baton Rouge's future. Now, this marks really the 7th anniversary of the Great Flood in mid-August of 2016. East Baton Rouge Parish received more than 2 feet of rain in just a few days. What resulted was a regional catastrophe. 41,000 homes were flooded, with an estimated $1 billion in damages. Additionally, 15% of our businesses went underwater. Like many of you, my neighborhood of 25 years, which is not in a flood zone, had several feet of water. Marvin and I were flooded out of our home, and it was a year and a half before we could return. When I took office the next year, I made sure City Parish would do more drainage work in East Baton Rouge Parish than any other time in our memory. And just in the past 2 years, 20,000 tons of dead trees and debris have been cleaned out of the Comite River, Bayou Manchac, Claycut Bayou, Ward Creek, and other waterways. These are the most important drainage ways in the region, and my administration is making sure that water is flowing. We always have continued work for improvement. Next on our list of projects, we will clean the Amite River in partnership with Livingston and Ascension parishes. I'm going to close, I believe, with 2 items, so you'll have time to, evidently I have more time. I don't need to close. I just saw somebody look at their watch and they're like, keep going, keep going. Okay, I could do that too. But let's talk a little bit. I have 2 things I really want to talk about, and one is public safety. If we're going to have a community where everyone wants to live, thrive, and prosper, and that they are attracted to, we have to have a safe city. I'm often asked whether or not Baton Rouge is a safe city. And I can only answer them honestly. There are a small number of individuals, often repeat offenders, who are most likely to be the perpetrators and the victims of the majority of the gun violence in our community. Much of that violence is retaliatory. I feel safe, and mostly all the people that I talk to who are in my circle, who I connect to, even people I talk to on the street, people feel safe. People are going places, they are living their lives, and they are alert as they do this. So then there are the smaller but still significant number of issues that we face in our community surrounding domestic violence incidences. And these two groups represent the majority of the violent crime. Every homicide, of course, is tragic and personal. I know because I receive a call whenever a homicide takes place from dispatch. To stop the cycle of violence, we need to do two things. We need to hold criminals accountable and identify the warning signs of those who may be going down the wrong path so we can stop violence before it happens. And you've heard our three-pronged approach. It involves law enforcement, it involves community engagement, and it involves mental health. And we have had intense efforts on all those fronts, and now we are seeing results. Overall, there has been a tremendous decrease in violent crime from the peak of 2 years ago. Last year, we saw a 23% decrease in homicides in East Baton Rouge Parish. And so far this year, we are on track for another 20% decline. Non-fatal shooting incidents and victims are also down by 20%. Some stakeholders are calling for a 50% decrease in homicide in 10 years. We have already come a long way towards that goal in just 2 years. You may have heard recently that we went 30 days without having a homicide in East Baton Rouge Parish. And that is a major significant accomplishment. And I believe that that trajectory will continue throughout 2023. We have made police investments to have safe streets. We have been hiring more police officers in the past few years. We've increased officer pay by 13% to make us competitive in the region. We've also offered thousands of dollars in incentives for cadets graduating in 2023. And BRPD hopes to announce its next academy class very soon. A lot of this work has taken place with our Safe, Hopeful, and Healthy initiative. Through this initiative, we believe that to really stop violence, we have to be proactive. And we have continued to partner with our residents. That's why we conduct intense community outreach through Safe, Hopeful, Healthy BR, which is the brainchild of initiatives like our Summer of Hope. You've heard about that. This year, we partnered with 430 organizations, hosted 250 events, and engaged more than 6,000 partners. So we do have a roadmap for public safety, and we are following that roadmap. I would be remiss if I didn't thank Chief Murphy Paul for his leadership in the Baton Rouge Police Department. Because of his leadership and the leadership of the men and women of BRPD, they are one of the primary reasons that we have seen such a drastic decrease occur. Now, I want to thank you publicly, Chief Paul, for the work that you have done for our city and our community. I believe that we are losing a friend as you go into the next phase of your life. And my hope is that your legacy and the positive changes that you have made are applauded and continue for many years to come. Now, I've received a number of inquiries about what's next as it relates to the police chief. Well, as you know, we have the Police Civil Service Board that actually just verified applicants today. And so they will be scheduling a test, I want to say September 15th or around that date. Then after the test, they will give me the results of that test, and then we will have a list of individuals to choose from, and I will give you additional details of what that process will look like after I get all of this information from the Police and Fire Civil Service Board. But I remain optimistic that we will continue to move forward in a positive trajectory of public safety for Baton Rouge and East Baton Rouge Parish. Let me close now with the sixth tenet that was described, and that is a civil society. I wonder how many hands would be raised if I said, and please don't raise your hands, but if I asked you, do you feel that we live in a civil society? Do you feel we live in a civil America? Do you feel that we live in a civil Baton Rouge? That would be one of my questions, but let me share something with you. A recent survey that was done and researched by the National League of Cities says that today's elected officials are facing many challenges when it comes to being on the front line of today's cities. And many of those challenges surround civility in government. Public officials at the state, federal, and local level have faced harassment and threats for decades, but the trend is now trickling down more defiantly to the cities. Local officials have faced everything from racial slurs to physical assault to death threats. Local leaders have become easy targets for frustration, particularly in communities led by women, people of color. Beyond the obvious impacts, this harassment has gone on to government and the layered difficulties it creates to get the public's work done. It has a real human impact on local leaders. I will tell you, as the mayor president, I would like to think that we in Baton Rouge denounce incivility towards one another, that we are focused on building a community where everyone matters, where we love our neighbor more than we love ourselves. A civil society refers to a community bound by shared values, norms, and a commitment to constructive interaction. It is characterized by respectful dialogue, cooperation, and the pursuit of common goals for the betterment of the society. The discussion around civility in America has become a prominent and a contentious topic. In the face of these challenges, the imperative to restore respectful dialogue and cultivate connections among diverse perspectives remains pivotal for upholding a healthy civil society. And I would say it remains pivotal for upholding a healthy civil Baton Rouge. as reporters, what is important in these uncommon days? That's what I would ask you. Respect, honesty, dedication. What about truth? In closing, Alex Garvin couldn't have said it better. If you want a great city, you have to work for it. It isn't done cheaply. And I would add, and it takes all of us. Thank you very much. I think I left time for a few questions. Could I have a little water there? And I believe, Jim, I'm going to let you or John handle this. You said questions are coming from members of the press. Okay, so who facilitates that? And who do you represent, ma'am?
I'm a press club member, and I'd like to start my question.
What media outlet do you represent?
You can be a member of the press club, and I paid my dues. Okay, will you take my question?
I sure would.
Okay.
I'm so glad that you're a member of the press club.
And still we are stuck in traffic. On 8/26/22, we emailed to you and all the Metro Council members requesting a town hall. We had met with you 2 years before and requested that you go to DOTD and ask that an economic impact study for East Baton Rouge be done. We sent numerous emails requesting a town hall on this impending I-10 debacle. We requested you, the Metro Council members. We have concerns about the economic impact and the quality of life of the citizens of East Baton Rouge when the interstate or a portion is set down to one lane. Would you please explain your refusal to host a town hall on this issue? Thank you.
Ma'am, what is your name?
Penny Landry.
Ms. Landry, in a spirit of civility, and you can record me if you want to, but it's being recorded by the press already. In a spirit of civility, let me just say this. I never refused a town hall meeting. You also said that you sent that message to the Metro Council. I don't think the council has refused. I do know that as the mayor, I've had a number of conversations with DOTD about the economic impact study. I've had conversations about the impact that the whole process of widening I-10 would take. And so there is no refusal, but I will tell you, I weigh everyone's request against the backdrop of priorities that I'm dealing with to address the concerns of all of the citizens of this city and parish. Thank you very much. Next question. Next question. A member of the press. Next question. Anybody from the press? Okay. Yes, sir.
I'm Gary Rasponi.
I know you, Gary Rasponi.
Let me give you a compliment. I was Citizen Service Rec 16 years. I worked with you when you was in the Senate.
That's right.
Council.
You worked with me when I was on the
And
council.
one of your best things has been that you work hard for Blight, and you still do it. Clean up neighborhoods, you work hard. Sometimes it's almost impossible task. I want to compliment. The other thing is, with the important decisions you got coming up, I'm going to praise my chief, Paul. Will Chief Paul be in on that selection committee? Where you have people, your group of people, where you include your clergy, which you're very active, and people in education. Who will be in that committee to help pick the next chief?
Well, that's a very good question. Let me tell you what happened the last time. The last time we were coming out of some very intense times in our community in 2016. And as we embarked on selecting a new chief, I put together a very voluminous committee of individuals to help in that process. And also, I had a longer process. We even appointed an interim chief. If you recall, Johnny Dunham was the interim chief. And we did that because of the short window that we had. I want to thank Chief Paul for just not saying, bye, I'm out of here, and dropping the mic, but saying that he would stay on until we completed the process. So I will not have such a voluminous committee and lengthy process as we did last time, but I will be seeking community input. Thank you.
What sorts of criteria, once you get back the results of the test, what sorts of criteria would you consider most highly when considering who to pick the next chief, and what's kind of your timeline for making a decision once you get the information you need to go?
Well, I have pushed that information in terms of the timeline out. Really, the timeline is dictated by the Police, Fire, Civil Service Board. So, as I said, they're going to be giving the test in the next week or so, I believe. Then after that, I have to wait until they give me the test results. And of course, one of my major criterion for selecting a chief is someone who is committed to 21st century policing, someone that will continue to focus on the tenets of 21st century policing and continue to keep our community together. You know, one of the big challenges that we had coming out of 2016 was the big division, the divide between our community and our police department. And I will tell you, we have closed that divide in a very significant way. We have built trust with our community and our police department. And that is why we have had the results in terms of the decrease of homicides and violent crime. It's because of the community's willingness now to work with the police department.
Okay, let's take one more question.
Mayor Broome, thanks for what you shared this morning. I wanted to ask, what would you say to the citizens of Scotlandville who've been great supporters of yours, who've been awaiting federal gas funding? It seems the city just signed a contract kind of rerouting those funds back to the city, where the city owns the property instead of the gas funds sent directly to the citizens of Scotlandville. What would you say to those citizens who may be wondering, what are you going to do with the gas funds?
Well, first of all, I'm not exactly sure what you're talking about. I need more specifics.
Housing for Heroes?
Okay, well, that program now is called Scotlandville Housing Development, and they did receive that money. They received the money to do that program. So we haven't reneged or negated on that. We've just made a $6 million investment in the Scotlandville community, among other investments that we've recently made. So I would tell the citizens of Scotlandville to continue to work with me and to look at the investments that we have made and to not negate that $6 million housing investment that we just made. Thank you. Oh, yes. Good to see you too.
But I want to compliment you on that road rehabilitation program that you're starting now. And the question that I have is, will the improvement be coupled with greater light, better lighting along the streets that you named, particularly in North Baton Rouge? I know that the Public Service Commission have a lot to do with it, but I'm just asking.
Absolutely. The question was, when we do road rehab, are we working on lighting? I will tell you, we've had in the past month about 2 major conversations with Entergy to roll out a program in those areas where there is a deficit of lighting taking place specifically. Most recently, Councilwoman Carolyn Coleman, if you recall, did a presentation on many of the poles that were in disrepair just along Plank Road and Scenic Highway. So I believe we have the ear of Entergy, and that they are going to be partners in helping us have more sufficient lighting for the citizens in our community.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.